All right, so we're going to talk about today writing our own story. Now, if any of you take notes during the services, get your pens out because you're going to need to take notes for this one. All right. So writing our own story, the first thing that we always say is, what can I do? What can I do? So Spirit asked me to show you just an example of what you currently do. So Bet, if I could have you come up. Bet is you. She is the average normal person in the world, just living her life. And I'm just going to move over just a wee tish right here. And Bet has friends. She has a spouse. She has family members. She has a best girlfriend. Woo! And she has a boss that she still loves. They love each other. And so this is Bet living her world, and she's getting inspired, and she's saying, gosh, what can I do in my world? What can I do? And then she sees something, and she decides she wants to go take a step toward it. So she steps out, and she feels this pull. Something is holding her back, and she doesn't really understand what it is. And she looks around, and there's all those people in her world, and she realizes that she has agreements with every one of them. And every one of them has a vote in what she does and says. And what I discovered about myself last year was that my MO of love, how I love people, if I love you, your opinion of me matters. Oh. And she loves these people very dearly, and she has the Cindy disorder. And so every one of them is pulling on her. So she just looks out again and decides that she wants to take another step, and she really wants to try. And the harder she pulls, the more they pull against her, until it just becomes satisfaction to be peaceful that she seeks, and she settles into the relationship that she has with all of these wonderful beings of light. We have an agreement now. Bet begins to define her world by the expectations of others for her. And this is where she stays until she looks for the freedom of crossing over so she can be God's daughter yet again. Oh, yes. Okay, so what she can say metaphysically is she can realize that these people are important to her, but their opinion does not necessarily have to be, nor does their expectations. And there's a prayer that we say, and we'll all say it together on behalf of Bet. Bet, you will repeat after me. I now lovingly release and let you all go to your highest and greatest good in harmony and peace. And you now let me go to my highest and greatest good in harmony and peace. All right, so now as you see Bet, have the players in her world gone? No, they have taken a new stance. They have become her team. They are now the team that supports her. So as she takes a step forward toward her goal, they will step forward with her as they can. Some of them may not be able to walk all the way with her, but as they can, they will. And there will come a time in this dynamic when the boss perhaps needs to take the lead, and Bet becomes a part of the boss's team in the boss's world. Do you see? Do you see? Everyone takes a lead in their own world and has their team of support, and everyone becomes a member of someone else's team. No one person is denied the right to create. We choose to be a part of someone's team or not. And there are times when, David, if you'll step forward and stand by boss, sometimes you meet someone who actually has the same mission as you. And in that moment, they can walk right by your side. And it's a wonderful experience. But then, when the mission is complete, everybody goes back to their space until something new is created. Thank you, Bet, for divulging your life to the world. We appreciate it. Thank you, players. All right. Number one, if you're taking notes, you cannot carry people with you as you create. Now, you may say, oh, but I have little children. I must carry them with you. Your little children are part of your team. They roam around behind you as part of your team. And they have their own little trajectory, and then you become part of their team. So in essence, you're not really carrying them either. We cannot carry people with us. They can join our team or not join our team. That is their free will. And we're talking about writing our own story, aren't we? And how often do we let the caring of others define us? I can't because of blah. You've just defined yourself by someone else's story. You've just defined yourself by someone else's story. Opinions of others, we need to not love in that way. Love freely, receive love freely, but your opinion of me should not define my story. Everybody breathe. You cannot carry anyone. Got it? All right. So when we're going to write our own story, what is the first thing that we want to do? Let people go, and then we want to create, don't we? We want to create something fabulous, don't we? It's amazing. The very, very, very first book I wrote, I was in a class 34 years ago. I was studying with Unity, and for every class that you took, you had to do a report. And Spirit said, I want you to write 3 children's books for your report for this class. And I was like, channeled it down. It was amazing. It was wonderful. It was a little kid book, middle kid book, older kid book. Beautiful. And I did it for the book I was studying, and I gave it to my minister, who was my teacher, and she was like, oh, that's fabulous. And we sent it to the headquarters of the church, and they sent it back to me with a note, oh, that's fabulous. And my beautiful book is in a closet in my office and has been for 34 years. And then I wrote another children's book. It was fabulous. Spirit said, write this book. So they brought the author, they brought the artist to work with me, and it got the money to print it. It's a beautiful book. We've sold a couple in the bookstore, and the rest of them are in my basement. And then I was meditating, saying, God, we just need to grow the building fund for the Sanctuary of Inner Light. And I got this great idea. There were angels that wanted to come to the earth, and they wanted to help mankind with their specific gifts. And so I started meditating, and there were 6 angels that came forward, and they were bringing in the idea. One had prosperity, one was about love, one was about joyful tidings, staying connected with the divine, and there were 6 of them. It was amazing. And Spirit brought us the money, brought us an artist up north to do it for us, got the perfect printer for it. We printed 3,000 magnets with these mailbox angels to bring this beautiful light to the earth. I was so excited. It was so amazing. And we sold about 2,000 or so, 2,500 something magnets, and I think we maybe garnered $2,000 or $3,000 for the building fund over 10 years, and the rest of them are in my basement. They're in my basement. And we did this fabulous thing. I said, okay, God, we need music. We need more music for the church. It was amazing and wonderful and fabulous. So Spirit brought us a professional songwriter. We went to my house. We recorded 14 different songs. That's 14 different days. There was a law. No one leaves the house till we get one song done. So we wrote them. And then Mike and Heather opened up their studio, Grammy award-winning. This is not a home-based studio. This is a professional studio. Recorded it for us for free. And we had all of these beautiful CDs, and we sold them, and the rest of them are in a closet. Now, I know what you're saying to me, Cindy, why the sad stories? Every one of these is a sad story. There is no happy ending to these stories. There is no happy ending. When we create, do we not want to measure impact in the world? Wouldn't it have been a happy ending if one of these projects had been picked up and gone global or whatever? Then you'd go, oh, Cindy, God was behind that. Yeah, you know what? God was behind this too. God was behind this too. But we have these expectations, and when I look at all the beautiful things that have been created through the church and through, Spirit just channeling stuff, it's amazing. To me, I stand in awe. I'm in awe of all of it. And yes, I do have a personal opinion. I've shared with you this story before, but many years ago, almost 20 years ago, I was at an airport flying somewhere by myself. And I always white light the plane, right? So I'm by the thing, and I'm starting to white light the plane, and I open my eyes. There's somebody in front of me white lighting the plane. And nobody Wise Light plane. Nobody does this but me. So I saw her back. So I walked over to her and I looked her in the face, and it was a teacher, a metaphysical teacher that I had known years before she was famous. And she was a famous speaker now. And so I'm talking with her, and she remembered me, and we chitty-chatted. I said, "You're White Light in the plane." Yeah. So we're chatting up, and what are you doing, Cindy? And I told her that we had this small church. I said, it's just not growing very big, and I'm just pouring my heart into it, and I'm doing such a good job. And she said, well, Cindy, you might be the one that teaches the world. And I went, that is not what I wanted to hear. I'm working my butt off here. I'm channeling down some cool stuff from God. What the heck? My ego wanted the reward. My ego wanted to see the impact. I didn't want to be the one to teach one. Do you hear? Yeah. And I'm not too unlike you. We're taught in our world that anything that we create does need impact. It needs impact. It needs to be impactful in order for us to be happy with it. And we measure our impact typically by the impact to matter, where we can see in matter. And what Spirit said for us to do is to begin to change our vision of where the impact is occurring. Because everything impacts always. So we have to begin to realize that as we're working in the world, we are truly setting up vibrations that are not necessarily validatable. The material outer world will show us what has been able to be accepted. Do you hear what I'm saying? The inner world is different. All of the creations that we work with are accessible to everyone because we created it. The words that were put together in those books, no one has put those words together quite in that way. They're up there. Anyone can have them. They're in the ethers. And also, every creation dropped a seed thought into the bottom baseline of race consciousness. Now, it may not grow to flower until race consciousness is ready for it to flower. But it's dropped in. And it's beginning to change the vibrational structure of race consciousness. Because someone wrote a little book about Starlin Blaze. And it has impact. It has impact. All right. The seeds are the spiritual movement in matter. The seeds are actually spiritual movement in matter. So number 2, everybody remember number 1? Can't carry people. Number 2, everything has impact. Okay? There's not going to be a quiz from me at the end of this service, but there is going to be a quiz from your life. So when we really begin to understand that everything does have impact, then even our failures can have impact. I shared with you all one time that normally I'm in the kitchen when I am in the kitchen, and it does not go well. So not too long ago, Patrick and I were in the kitchen. He was helping me make something. It was going to be a fabulous little adjunct to dinner. And we got the ingredients out, and I label all of my flours because I have gluten-free flours, and they're all different textures and stuff, and I put the expiration date on them because Lord knows how long they'll be in there before I get around to cooking again. And so, seriously. So we're making something, and so I get a nice bag of gluten-free flour, and I have the expiration date on. We're good. And it has an interesting texture to it, because some of them do, And so we make our little thing, and when we pull it out of the oven, it is watery, and you taste it, it's so sweet, and it's like right to the trash. Right to the trash. It was inedible. And so I pulled the bag out, and I checked the date. No, it was a good date. And I put it back, and a couple of days later, Spirit said to me, "Get the bag out again, girl." I got the bag out again, because I do follow what Spirit says. And I opened it up, I licked my finger, and I put it in. It was powdered sugar. We made a powdered sugar something. And in that moment, such a colossal failure could have marked my soul forever. But the reality is there is now in the ethers a message to everyone. Don't use powdered sugar. Check your flour. Because I went through it, I have now educated all gluten-free users. Do you see? That is how simple energy can flow. That is how wonderfully information can be shared. Everything impacts, even the thing that you think is the worst ever. Okay, enjoy that. Stay attached to it. And if you think somebody's judging you for it, wrestle with them. But it's doing something. It's doing something. And as we understand our intentions behind what we're doing, that colors the actions, you know. So, everything has impact, even our failures. You can't carry people, everything has impact. And when we are looking for impact, why do we look for it? Because we want a reward. We want the payoff, guys. We want to know that we have done something. We want to be rewarded substantially for what we have done. So, in my story about wanting to be the one that did the one that taught the world, was my ego involved? Of course. All of our outer identities, which is what your ego is your outer identity, wants to be the one that's recognized, and in that, you get the reward. And what Spirit is asking us to do, as we're beginning to rethink and we're beginning to want to create and expand, remember, the theme of this session is about writing your story. I guarantee you, I can inventory every single one of you walking out the door today. And I don't care how independently creative you are, probably 70% of your story is written by somebody else right now, even in this moment today. Mine is written by you guys. And I'm taking you off my author list. But do you know what I'm saying? We have to consciously begin to change this because human nature teaches us to do this. So this is about deciding, how am I going to define and write my story? What is my happy ending going to be? And I'm going to carve it as I walk. So I have to change the way I look for impact. I can see that now, but now I have to change the way of reward because, darn it, I want to be rewarded. I want to feel good about myself. I want prosperity and peace. I want all this stuff. Do I not? Okay. So this is what Spirit said. If we change our idea of reward from an effect to flow, then we won't search for it. I don't earn my living. I live in an abundant, supportive universe. Oh, that doesn't matter. I mean, if I take a week off vacation, great. If I need to lay low for a couple days, great, because I don't earn my living. I work in a supportive, prosperous, generous universe. How does that feel to your body? Can you feel your body just relaxing? Okay. I don't need to find love. I need love. I don't need to find love. I am love flowing in God's light. I am already love. And if I can relax into that knowing, what am I going to draw to me naturally? Love. I'm going to draw love. I'm in the flow of love. What else would come to me? I'm in the flow of love. I don't need to be happy. And so here's a kicker. Ready? When the I am of me is here and now, I am in joy. When the I am of me is the here and now of me, I am in joy. When I can know the divinity of my Christed nature here right now, making a disaster in the kitchen, I am in joy. And joy is the flow of the greatest, air quote, reward we could ever have. Are we not seeking joy? When you feel God talking to you and you feel that elevated energy, is that not the most unbelievable joy you could imagine? You can't even measure it. It's so beautiful and amazing. When the I am of me is the here and now of me, I am in joy. Isn't that a wonderful thing to look for? And then I don't have to chase cause and effect. I don't have to chase rewards. I don't have to worry about my impact. I can just be in the flow. See, I'm getting it. Joy is the state of my being. You can't take people with you. How many times am I going to say that? You can have a team. And I support you in having a team. Have a great team. Have a good team. And be a part of teams. Be a part of teams. Contribute that way. Be creative in that way. And then make it about you. It's about you then. Have your team. Bring your team. When I create, it is of me. When I used to get downloads when I first met Patrick 100 years ago, and I would say, hey, God told me to do this. And believe it or not, he actually was young. And he said to me in his youthfulness, you can't do that. And I said to him, step aside. And it only took a couple of times before he went, okay. And he knew when I said I got a download from God, he was like, all right, what's my job? Yeah, he's a smart man. Smart man. When you get your guidance, when you get your creativity, you will find your team. There'll be those that will be right there ready to help you. Go with that. When we start looking at the impact of what we're doing as a spiritual impact. What creates matter? Spirit. Spirit creates matter. Do you want to impact what's already been created, or you want to impact something new? Yeah, we're creating. We want something new. We want to understand our spiritual seeds that are planting. And then joy is the spiritual food of all. When I was preparing this, they showed me this visual. I don't have the stats on it, so you'll have to forgive me. But I have seen the commercials. And in the commercials, they're showing you always about how when you sneeze, how the little germs spread, and they affix to hundreds of people, and how far and wide they spread. Have you seen that commercial? Germs everywhere, just attacking people. And then the germs find their way into the vibratory frequency of somebody a mile away, and their vibratory frequency, which is not in commonality with the germ. That germ has to sneak in the frequency, sneak under the firewalls, go behind all the protective systems, and then it starts messing with the motherboard. And you get sick. You get sick. And Spirit said, yeah, look at that. Now look at this. Joy. When you emit joy, your joy goes faster, farther, stronger than any sneeze. And it is a vibration that the human body receives and looks for. And the firewalls are down the minute joy is perceived. Bring it on. And the body energy starts feeding on the joy. And the guy a mile and a half away is now feeling the joy you emitted, has no idea where it came from, does not care. It feeds the system. If we can find our own personal joy at being, and we don't have to create something to do it, just be it. When the I am of me is the here and now of me, when I can be that, the joy that wells up within me can affect everything in matter around me. And how powerful is that if we really want to have a material impact? Let's go for the gusto. Let's be big. Let's be happy. Let's ruin everybody's bad day. You know? We can do it. We can set the vibration to bring in that higher light. When Jesus taught the Beatitudes and the Sermon on the Mount, and you all know them very well, he was trying to teach the people how to take their vision from the outer and the burden of the outer and the rule of the outer and try to heal so that they could live free from the outer oppression. What Spirit has just given us today are steps for us to live free from our own perceptions so that we can start building something that fills our spirit right here, right now. I'm not walking on water. There's more for me to do. That's my goal. You know? We have such an opportunity. So let's breathe it in. Put your feet on the floor. And Father, Mother God, we open our heart to you and we ask that your love just engulf us. Just engulf us. And I would invite each one of you, feel your body and feel a beautiful column of light coming over you. Just relax into it. Feel the energy around you. And in your heart, just say, what is my story? Is it sad? Look at what you've written so far. Feel the vibration. Is it freedom? Does my story have a happy ending? Does my story have a happy middle and beginning? Father, Mother God, I ask that your light now unfold each one. I ask that the food that passes understanding be moved into our consciousness, our psyche, our emotional bodies, our mental bodies. And I ask that each one of us are now lifted to the higher frame, our higher selves, that divine spark that we are. God, teach us joy. And let us see the wonder of our own natures, the wonder of our truth. And as I say these words, let your heart open and begin to feel that you are God's child of wonder, capable of so many things, and yet the chooser. In your mind's eye, take a breath and let go of anyone that you carry now. I free you to your highest and best good. Feel the light within you vibrating. And we're going to take another breath and we're going to send it into our world. My light impacts my world now. Take a breath. And I choose joy. Feel the peace that passes understanding moving through the top of your head, filling all of those chakras, your solar, down to your feet. And God, we love you. In your mind's eye, just take the hand of Jesus Christ who stands by your side. Feel that he is your team. You are never alone. And now ask again, what is my story? And begin to see the sparkling lights of possibility. And we are so grateful, God. And we thank you. And just breathe and very gently allow your awareness to come back into this space, back into the chair. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. I support you this week as you walk to define yourself oddly in interesting moments, to say wonderful affirmations, to look at yourself in the mirror when you wake up. I'm God's joyful expression. I live in an abundant, supportive universe. Look out, world, I'm coming at you. Whatever you are choosing to do and experience, let your light go out and let the world see you. They may not know what they're seeing. You're so new and different. But let them see you. Say, I will. I will. Yeah, God.